So
Love it, man. Love it.
yeah, I got like two more approvals, man. One official approval, just waiting on my permanent stamped plans, and then I got another one probably within the next week or so. It'll be ready to go. So I'm finna get rocking and rolling, man.
It's a
Rocking and
good
rolling.
feeling, man. It's a good feeling, man. Congrats. Everything going the way it's supposed to go.
Yeah, man. Business ain't nobody's friend, right? It ain't nobody's best friend. But
It's better when you do it the right way, though.
but when you do it the right way, you understand what I'm saying? You can make
It's
a lot
more
of friendly
rewarding.
situations. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, man. I'm having fun. I'm having the most fun of my life, and I feel like I'm in the right lane,
You
and
doing
that's the
what you're
best.
supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Oh,
Yeah, that feel good though.
so
Feel
yeah,
good. I like it. I like it, man.
yeah. I'm excited about today's topic, though.
Yeah, I'm excited about today's topic too because a lot of us been conditioned to do things the wrong way.
Ooh,
A
not
lot of us.
condition.
That's it. We've been taught to do things the wrong way. Uh, we never. I don't think a lot of us really dug deep to understand why am I doing this. You know what I'm saying? We're just doing it like because it's normal. But is the normal the thing we're supposed to be doing? Most likely not.
So today, I guess, when we think about it in general, right, we're learning essentially what banks don't want you to know. So in that, we are unlocking the hidden truths of the financial world with our provocative new episode, Bank Secrets, What Banks Don't Want You to Know. That's what we're talking about today, because I really feel like, why would banks want you to know this information? Oh,
Well, you got to think about it. They don't want you to know the information because the more information you know, the more money they lose.
ooh.
That's like you got a business and you give everybody your secrets. All your secrets are what you're really doing.
Ooh.
They're taking your customers. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would that make sense?
All right. Well, let's roll the intro, man. Let's get to it, man. Let's get to it.
Welcome to another episode of No Stingy Energy, man. But I think today gonna be something special, man. But it's important for us to ask the right questions. It's important for us, if you don't understand something or you want to know more, you hop on the live, you click the link, jump on the live, and you ask your question.
Absolutely.
The worst thing is the worst thing is to have a question and you not ask it to the right people.
It's a fact.
Because soon as they get over, then you want to be like, oh man, I want to exist. Oh, I'm about to exist. Oh man. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, indeed. Listen, my name is Byron, real estate investor out of Houston, Texas, primarily focused on the wholesale space, a little bit of creative finance, fix and flip, new construction, new to the build to rent space. Definitely excited about that. Extremely excited about that. I have a lot of development underway right now. I'm just overjoyed by the amount of opportunity that I'm looking at right now. I'm talking multiple, we're in the 8 figures in terms of development. And I'm excited about that, man. Oh, what's going on, man?
Good morning. Good morning. Neil Parker, real estate investor, entrepreneur in Lafayette, Louisiana. I've been investing in real estate since 2020. 2016. Been full-time real estate since 2020. Do all things real estate. And I've been doing a lot of flipping right now. The construction business going to a whole nother level. So I'm excited about what's going on right now. And then also my students, well, I don't call them students, my family and my mentorship group is also winning too. So everything, is going good right now. It's going good.
I can dig it. Yeah. But we have a special guest today, man. That's, some of y'all already know. My guy's already, been a rock star on this particular platform. And, we really want to kind of dive deep into this. This is kind of like something that we've talked about, we've glazed over, but we've never gotten a real deep education on how a lot of things that we've learned from a banking perspective are wrong.
Facts. Who did we learn it from? The bank.
The banks. And the institutional systems, like all of our education, you got to understand, these people, right, are feeding you information, right, that's a lot of times paid for by some of these same institutions that want to keep you in the unknown.
Right.
And
They want you to play. They want you to play by their rules.
Play by their
pockets
rules.
full. To keep their pockets full.
Absolutely. So
but
listen,
I wouldn't say it's a bad thing though. And we that gullible to listen, which majority of people are. That's how we keep their business open. We keep their doors open. So
facts.
We have what else? We can take advantage of it. What's up?
I used to wonder why, only a small percentage of people in any population are financially successful. I used to wonder this. And I used to think to myself, damn, so why ain't everybody doing this? Or why ain't everybody doing that? Well, the truth is, first of all, most people don't care to continuously educate themselves. Most people don't care to be fiscally financial. I mean, to manage their money correctly. Yeah, financially literate. And so that's why I'm so excited about today's guest. We got Don Daniels in the building. Let's bring my guy Don up. Let's bring up Don. Don, what's going on?
Good morning.
Oh, you got muted.
Well, let's fix that. Let's fix that. Listen, man, thank you very much for the invitation. I appreciate being here. With the No Stingy Energy crowd and all of your viewers. I mean, this is a good thing. So thank you again for the invitation.
Well, we were talking about the just general financial literacy. Mm-hmm. And we were also talking about most of the things that we've learned are kind of backwards, so to speak. And conventional financial literacy that we're taught by grandma, right? Mm-hmm. That we're taught by mama, right? That was passed down generationally. Yeah. If we didn't have business family members, then we're kind of learning this stuff backwards. What's your take on that?
Well, the thing is, Byron, when it comes to banking or understanding this, we've got to be able to ask, good questions. So here's the thing. For most consumers, where does money start and end? What is the foundation? Where do we go to get money? And where do we keep it once we get it? What's the foundation?
The bank.
Bank.
Exactly. So now let's take you back to school. All right. You had to learn history.
Yes.
You had to learn math.
Yes.
Okay. Social studies.
Yep.
Geography. All right. But when it comes to earning money and understanding money, what classes did you have on banking?
Zero.
What? Not one?
I think they taught us how to write a check.
That's it.
Right. How to write a check. But understanding banking from its foundation, the very thing that we need to live, to buy food, to buy our shelter, to buy education, to buy a car, just to buy electricity, the very thing that we need to live, we have never been taught how the whole system works. So This is truly, if you're familiar with the Matrix, this is truly a red pill, blue pill situation. Mm-hmm. Do you want to take the red pill and understand how this really works? Or do you want to take the blue pill and stay in the Matrix? So instead of becoming a battery, all of us, I don't care what color you are, all of us are interest generating machines. That's all we're here for. If you're not the bank, You are here to be a natural resource for banks to make money, period. And what we're going to learn today is what our part is in it. And the very things that, here's why banks don't want you to know how they make their money, because you can disrupt how they make their money so that you can have more, so that you can do more.
Wow.
What's your thoughts on that, though?
That's tough, man. That's tough.
Because when you really stop to think about it, gentlemen, listen, I'm going to get into building. I want to get into real estate. There are some things that I definitely need to know. Okay. And you're going to tell me, Don, don't get into real estate unless you know these things, because somebody's going to eat you alive.
That is a fact.
Okay. But when it comes to banking and money, we're playing a game we don't know the rules to. And all the banks have to do to make sure that we play by their rules is to allow us to make some money. You're talking about some folks that make a lot of money. But even the folks that make a lot of money don't understand banking. And when we see the people who make a lot of money, we're thinking there's something out there that they know that we don't know, and that they've got the secret. No, they don't. They don't know the secret. Even they are paying more interest than they need to pay. Even they are making the banks rich.
Wow.
Because they keep their money in the bank. They get their money through banking. All right. And so if they didn't learn how banks work, like you didn't learn how banks work, then aren't they subject to making the banks more money because they didn't understand the basics?
Yeah, they're just getting screwed at a high level.
At a higher level. Yeah, exactly.
They got more money. So that's why the banks make them like a certain level of client. We like Chase,
you thought you were special.
Yeah, Chase got a private client because you making us all the money. Thank you. Whatever you need.
Exactly. So I'd like to ask you guys a question. What do we know? And we can invite people into the studio just like you guys normally do, or put your questions in the chat or answers in the chat. But what do we know? What have we been taught that makes where we can save the most money through banking or lending? What have we been taught about loans? What have we been taught about banks? What do we know as best practices? What do we know about banking that benefits us? What are some of those things that you've learned over the years?
You get like a high interest savings account.
Okay, there you go. High interest savings account. I like it. What else?
Get you some CDs, certificate of deposits.
CDs. All right. What else?
Keep your money safe.
Well, how do you keep your money safe?
By giving it to them.
Giving it to them. Okay. And they will insure your savings up to $250,000.
Correct.
So if you have more than $250,000 in one bank,
another bank,
that's a problem.
You got to go to another bank. Okay.
Absolutely.
250,000. Okay. So what else have we learned? How about lending? How about borrowing money? What have we learned about that? What are some of the things we should do and should know about borrowing money?
Get a loan for your house, get a loan for your car.
Okay.
Get credit cards.
So now when you get a loan for your house, what's the best way to get a loan for your house? What have we been taught?
30-year mortgage.
30-year mortgage, right? All right. What else? What about that 30-year mortgage? What's the best way what do we need to know about the 30-year mortgage that benefits us?
I got 30 years to pay it.
Okay. What about down payments?
You typically hear, for the most part, like from back in the day to now, 10%.
10%. Okay.
5 to 10%.
So don't most people believe that if they can afford it, they should put as much down as they possibly can.
Oh yeah.
Correct.
Big down payment.
Put as much.
Beat yourself down on the chest.
You're a big dog and you put down 20%.
Listen, have you heard? I put this much down on my house.
Yeah,
Okay. What about interest rates? What have we been taught about interest rates?
man, the lower the better.
Lower the
I'm not gonna
bet.
buy my house today because I'm gonna wait till interest rates.
Wait till interest rates come back down.
Okay.
My realtor said it might be dropping soon.
Okay. Good.
Just to find out that I got a higher price when it come down.
Okay. Interest rates. Okay. We want the lower the better. Okay.
Mhm.
So what if I were to tell you that everything you told me, we need to be doing the opposite?
Let's
Damn.
talk about it.
Everything you just told me, anything that you know about banking right now, all of you, I don't care if you're a CPA, an MBA, mortgage professional, CPA, it doesn't really matter, financial planner, what you have learned about finances, you've never been taught how banks make their money through interest, how an amortization schedule works, how to read an amortization schedule, and how to make it benefit you. None of this has been taught in any of your classes, not at the graduate level, not at the PhD level. I don't care if you went to the Wharton School of Business. You have not been taught how an amortization schedule works, how the bank makes their money through interest, and how you can disrupt their timing and make it impossible for them to charge you that interest.
Ooh, let's
We
talk
need
about
that.
it.
We need that because I don't think nobody's teaching this information.
No, nobody is.
You can't get this nowhere.
And this is why it's so important that it gets out on your show and my show about what's really happening, because when you're deceived, the true meaning of deception is when you argue for the bank's side so they can continue to make money. That's when you've really been deceived. Listen, it happened to me. It happened to me on Sunday. It happened to me again yesterday. I'm talking to a group of real estate investors about how they can save money. And I said, here's what I said. You need to establish how much money you want to go into buying more doors, how much money you want to, out of the money that you're bringing in, determine a percentage that needs to go into investing. But by the same token, you need to also look at how you can save interest on your loans. And I gave a good example of prepaying or giving the bank $200 early and saving $1,000 in interest. That's a 500% return on your money.
Wow.
Okay. And so as soon as I said that, another person said, I think it's more important to take that money that I could prepay and put it into more doors. I mean, immediately. And so when you're talking about this, the only way to make sure that the information is understood, you cannot share it verbally. You have to see the numbers for it to make sense. If you're not seeing the numbers, then it will never make sense to you why we should look at banking with an eye to how we can save more money, because we've been taught it's simple. That's number one. It's simple. All right. And it really doesn't cost that much because we can get low interest rates. We can get low interest rates. It's really not that big a deal, Don. Why are you yelling so loud to us? Because we can get a low interest rate and continue to make money over here, right? Because go ahead.
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
So first of all, I want to say this. Anybody who is looking to get that first home, if you're looking to get that first home, go ahead and get your pen and paper out. If you're looking to get that second home, or if you're a real estate investor, get your pen and paper out, because what we want to kind of uncover and get done to kind of uncover is the cost. It's the cost of
the money.
The cost of the money. Because a lot of times we get caught up in thinking, oh, okay, I need more doors, which is great. That's awesome. And more doors is important. But at the same time, what does it cost to get more doors over maybe just paying off some of the doors that I have and saving on the cost of that money? So Matter of fact, before we move back to Don, what's your take on that general concept of what I just kind of explained?
I love it because I've never heard about it. Never been taught it. I've always heard, and hey, man, go get the bank money and pay them back over the time period that they tell you, and you keep it pushing. Like what Don is speaking about is like you don't hear about it. Like
The
it's
cost of it.
yeah, but still, like the cost of money, you don't hear nobody talking about the cost of the money that you get.
But
Have
I
you ever
promise
heard
you,
it
though,
before?
I haven't, but I promise you, once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah, blow your mind, and
Blow-
then everybody look at you weird.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, man. I was having a conversation. I was kind of breaking this down to the wifey. And I was just kind of explaining how the cost of money, like how
Right.
expensive it is. And a lot of times when you're just breaking this down to people, they don't even want to hear it.
It's
They don't
too
want to hear it
complicated.
because they be thinking, okay, like, why does this even matter? And then when you start showing them numbers, then they eyes immediately open up. So I want to get back to Don and see, number one, why do you feel this information is not on more
Why it's not
display?
mainstream?
Yeah,
Why is it not more? Because any new information, it takes early adopters to get into it and then start using it, and then it starts to catch on. All right. So when you
What
first,
real quick before
Yeah.
what happens to the bank? What's the bank's response to this new information? Let's say, for instance, if people do adopt it, the banks are gonna have to figure out a way to make some new money. So, what do you think the consequences of this new knowledge would be?
to tell you the truth, Byron, it's not going to hurt the banks one bit if we save money on interest, because people pay off loans all the time. They just
It's
don't
really not
realize
more
that they're
money.
doing. Yeah, they just don't realize that they're doing. Banks don't really care. It's a matter of the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. It's a matter of, I don't know, maybe it's ego, but it's not about the money. Because here's what happens. If I save money on interest on my loans, where am I going to keep the money I just saved?
In the bank? My Jesus.
Why does the bank care? The bank don't even care. Okay, you know what you know what people really care about?
What's that?
If I go to the country club,
Well, everybody knows.
I don't want the person who is serving me dinner to be able to afford to go to the same country club, because now it is not that exclusive anymore.
My Jesus.
That's what this is really about.
Levels, baby.
Levels.
It's all about the power struggle. And if I've got more money than you, in fact, people with money discriminate against people with money, because old money discriminates against new money.
My
It's
Jesus.
a fact.
And you know it's a fact. Listen, it's about the
We got
power.
money racists in the building. What we doing?
Nobody like that old money, man. That old money, girl.
Yeah.
Listen, man.
Discrimination on new money.
Yes, they discriminate against. So what we're talking about is not that. It's not about that. It's about the power that it gives me over you, so that when I can look down my nose at you, or I can feel more superior than you, even if I'm a nice guy, I still feel superior than you if I drive better than you, if I dress better than you, if I travel better than you, if my credit card is black and yours is green. Listen, if I can sit in the airport lounge and you're out there with everybody else,
Peasants.
You're
you know.
the peasant.
out there with the peasants, I'm telling you, it's all about that.
Wow.
It's all about the status.
What is that ego, boy?
Boy.
Ego.
So when we get into this thing, when we understand it truly, we can develop millionaires from people who have W-2 jobs, never thought about business, because of the monies they're not spending on interest. They can invest in their own families, even in mutual funds. They can become millionaires.
let's pause right there because this is important. This is so important. I'm glad you brought this up. A lot of times we think that we need to be these super business people to make $1 million or to build over $1 million in net worth. And that is so far from the truth. A lot of times us just being financially responsible, right? It's a reason why when they looked at the survey and they saw that a lot of the millionaires throughout life that become millionaires from a professional standpoint, a lot of them were teachers. I think teachers are probably like some of the number one millionaires in the country, and this is not popular understanding. Teachers, accountants, right? I think we're number two. I think engineers, and there was a couple other healthcare professionals, different things like that. You know what's funny? Doctors weren't even high on that list of people. And
Most of them got a lot of bills. That's why.
You would think that a doctor would be the highest on the list when it came down to people who retire millionaires. And they find out that a lot of teachers are retiring millionaires. Tells That's you crazy. That money is not necessarily it's not the end all be all. The amount of money you make is how you move with the money that you make.
It's not how much money you make.
It's the knowledge. It's
knowledge.
The financial literacy. It's the stuff that we're getting ready to talk about.
Yeah. It's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. In fact, I just did a show on the Pill Method YouTube channel about how doctors can pay off their student loans and their mortgages in about 7 years if they know what to do. So the problem with doctors is that they make so much money, they spend a lot of money. They never really worry about the student loans. They never really worry about the mortgage. They never really worry about these things because they can afford to send their kids to school. They can travel the way they want. They can buy what they want. They can drive the way they want. So they have no stress when it comes to finances. But because of how we've been oriented towards finances, they're throwing millions of dollars away. And how are they throwing millions of dollars away? Not because of the money that they're making, it's because of the money they're not investing.
My Jesus.
You can't spend the money and invest it at the same time. You can't.
My Jesus.
That's hard.
Okay. And that's where people who make a lot of money fail to understand what's happening because they don't understand the benefit of compounding interest over 20 or 30 years, even with small amounts of money. $200 a month, $200 a month. When you first start working, putting away $200 a month at 6 or 7% will make you a millionaire by the time you retire.
Wow, that's crazy.
We don't understand the money. So, and we really don't understand banking the way that is. We're told a lot of stuff that is not true. Now, for most people, they believe that cash is king and borrowing is wrong. There's something wrong with borrowing. If that were true, then all of your banks would be out of business if borrowing was a bad way of looking at money. Banks make their money from borrowing. They borrow their money from us. They invest that money they borrow from us. And then they pay us pennies on the dollar for the use of that money. Why can't we do the same? You all talk about take a page out of the book of somebody who's successful. Follow somebody who's successful. Learn from somebody who's successful. We don't learn from banks. We let banks tell us a different story than what we're learning to be, how we're learning to be successful in other realms. But in banking, we're told an opposite story. Cash is king. If my cash is king, guess what? I'm going to spend my cash to buy houses, to buy cars, because we're told that's the better way to do it. I never pay cash for cars. I never pay cash for houses because you can learn how to borrow money at 1% effective interest or less. So you can invest your money to make babies.
Let's talk about this. Down payment.
Yes.
We got somebody, matter of fact, shout out to let's see who that was.
Say she about to buy a house.
Yeah, Therese. Therese
Mhm.
looked like she getting ready to buy a house.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure Therese is wrestling with the concept
She
of
should
down
jump
payment.
on, man. She should jump on if she can.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But she's wrestling with this concept called down payment. The bank is telling her right now, I know this for a fact because I understand how banks, how much do you want to put down? They're asking her this question, how much you want to put down? The more, the better.
Yeah.
Right? You get a lower payment.
Yep.
Right? So what would you tell Therese on this whole down payment concept that the bank is pushing on her right now?
All right. Well, let's take a look at this. Let's just make it simple. I've got something on the screen. We're gonna put it on the screen, an amortization calculator. And Therese, please call me before you get the mortgage, not after.
Yes.
Setting up the mortgage the right way is more important than paying it back. Setting it up the right way.
So before you even jump into this, what do you mean by setting it up the right way?
Well, because when we go get a mortgage, we know very little about it. So who's going to be teaching us about how the mortgage should work?
The person that's lending the money.
The person that's lending the money is schooling us on how this should work. And so
In their favor.
Yep. And so they're going to give us options. You can do this, you can do this, you can do this. All of the options work for the bank. All I have to do is give you the illusion that you're saving money.
Wow.
And as long as it look like you're saving money, you're saving money.
You're saving money if it looks like you're saving money. But ask yourself this question. The more money it looks like I'm saving, okay, during these options, ask yourself this question. If I'm saving money, who's losing money?
Mm.
What you think the banker would say if you tell him that?
Okay, listen, the person, the thing is, the people who work at the bank don't know any more about it than you do.
The realtor don't know either.
The banks don't teach their employees how banking works. They teach them how to sell products, period.
Damn, I know one thing about me. When I go speak to anybody that's new, boy, I be asking them some questions. I mean, I make them turn to like crawfish. They get red. Like, oh, I never heard this before.
Because they can't answer those questions because they don't know how banking works. Okay. And so the information that you're given seems like it's good information. In fact, they bank the same way you do. They buy mortgages the same way you do because they all have drunk the Kool-Aid. All of us have drunk the Kool-Aid. And this is why it's so hard to get this information out, because it goes against everything that I've ever been taught about how it works. Let's put this example on the screen.
Yeah, because I want to know if Therese should put down a 20 or 30 or 40% down payment.
Okay, so let's take a look, because most likely you're going to get a 7% interest rate. So here's the other thing. Don't be afraid of high interest rates. Just make sure that you can make the payment and it's not above, 25 to 28% of your net income. Keep that in line. All right. So if you can afford the payment, the higher interest rates work better than the lower ones. But first, let's talk about this. Okay. So I got a $420,000 loan. Okay. And if I want to put down, I was talking to somebody the other day, want to put down 20%. Okay. So we're going to put down 20%. We're going to multiply it by 20%. And that means I want to put $84,000 down. Okay. So $84,000. So we're going to subtract that from 420. See, if I don't show people the numbers, it doesn't matter to them. Okay. 420. So that's 336,000. All right. So now here's how the bank sells this thing. Okay. All right. They're going to say, let's duplicate this tab. Let's put in the new amount, 336,000. 336,000. Okay, at 7%. Here's your new payment. All right. There we go. All right. So now here's how it's sold. So if you put down 20%, I'm gonna get rid of these advertisements. If I put down 20%, here's my payment. This is the principal and interest. $2,200. 235.42 versus the full thing at 27.94. Already, that's not that big a difference if you can afford it.
What's the difference? What's the difference? Let's see.
Let's see. You mean the 22? About $500.
$500 difference. Okay, so you got a $500 difference in payment, and this is what the bank is gonna sell you on.
That's what
they're
they're
gonna
selling
sell you on. You get, if you put down 20%, your payment is gonna be $500, and you're gonna $500 less, and you're gonna be excited. You're gonna be like, yo, I'm on my way.
Okay. First of all, the bank did not lend you $336,000. They wrote it into somebody else's account. You didn't get the money. Have you ever gotten money for any of your deals? Have you ever actually gotten the cash in your hand to go give somebody?
I got 100,000 yesterday though, but I'm just bragging.
I mean, but did you see the money, or did they write it into your account?
Nah, it just showed up.
It just shows up in your account. So the bank is saying, I'm going to write this into your account, but I'm not really giving you the cash money. You can turn it into cash, but I'm not actually giving you cash. So what they're doing is but what you're paying back real cash that you've earned and the interest.
They're making money off of no money.
They're making money off of no money because of what's called fractional reserve lending. For every dollar they have on deposit, they can lend out $9 or $10. Okay. If you and I did that, it would be called counterfeiting, but banks can do it legally.
That's crazy. Because
Okay.
if everybody asks for, let's just say if this would ever happen, I don't think it would.
Mhm.
If everybody go ahead and ask for their money that they got in the bank, the banks they ain't even got enough money.
Okay. All right. So I'm seeing this, and I want to talk about this. I'm going to say this right now. There are people that are going to say, I paid off my mortgage in 13 years like this person, and congratulations. Okay. But here's the thing. It's not about paying off the debt. It's about how much interest did you save. And if you can't calculate how much interest you saved, then you paid more money than you needed to manage the debt. And that's all the bank wants. They want you to focus on payment. They want you to focus on interest rate. What they don't want you to focus on is how much money it costs you to manage the debt. And you can mathematically pay the least amount of interest that you possibly can for you. It is possible for you to pay the least amount of interest. So do you want to save a lot of money, or do you want to save the most amount of money for you?
Let's talk about it. So let's get back to this payment. So, okay. So okay. So she didn't put down 20%.
Yeah.
She done saved herself $500 on a payment.
Right.
Is that something to be excited about?
Well, of course it's something to be excited about. $500 savings. Okay.
A month?
That's what I've been taught. $500 a month. Here's the other thing I've been taught. Okay. Total interest paid on this loan is going to be $468,000. All right. If I do it this way, but if I don't put a down payment down, okay, it's $585,000. $585,000. Okay. Versus $468,000. Okay. So the bank is going to encourage you to do that. Why? Because if you give me the 90 some $1,000 up front, all right, I'm going to be able to lend out that much more money right away. That's why I want you to put a down payment down. Okay.
Gotcha. So wait a minute. So the bank wants the down payment so they can lend on your money that you gave them.
Yes. So
not because it necessarily benefits you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they can multiply it by 10 times.
Wow.
They multiply it by 10 times. Okay. So that they can lend out more money.
8,000 is 800,000.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. So there's times 20%. So we're going to keep this in front of us, $84,000. Okay. So now let's take a look at what we could do. So here's what I tell my clients. Understand, here's where the banks make all of their money. We do not understand interest consumption. How much interest are we consuming each and every month? We don't understand that. So in the first year on this, so I use this so that people can see how much money they are actually spending to make money. When you make a mortgage payment, okay, when you make a mortgage payment, you're saying, how much does it cost me to create equity? Start thinking that way. How much does it cost me to create equity? It costs to create, to out of that payment, only $344.27 goes to principal, but it cost me $2,450 in interest. So how much does it cost me to create equity?
Real quick, because I want everybody to pay attention. I feel like they'll be going somewhere important. Go ahead and put cost in the chat right now. Put cost in the chat. Cost is important. Cost is our keyword. I'm going to put cost in the chat. Let's go ahead and put cost in the chat. Put cost in the chat because this is important. Put cost in the chat because I feel like if we don't understand the cost of this thing, we're going to miss the whole boat. Okay. It's not about the interest. It's not about none of these things. It's about the cost.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Sorry about that.
No. Listen, when the spirit moves, that's when you move.
I had it.
Okay. Because there's I can't get this all done in a week, but let's try to get as much as we can in the time we have. So if I add up all the principal payments for 1 year, okay, for 1 year, that's all of these principal payments. This is actually my mortgage payment. Mortgage payments are over here. Mortgage payment has to do with the money I borrowed. I borrowed this over here. I didn't borrow this. This ain't mortgage payment. This is rent on my money. This is rent.
And that's a hell of a cost.
We go from renting an apartment or renting a house to renting money for the rest of our lives.
Renting money for our mortgage. My Jesus.
We're renting the money.
And it's high rent.
That's how banks make their money. Listen, banks don't produce. They don't manufacture. They just rent money.
Wow.
Okay. So now, here's what it cost me to pay my loan down for 1 year. In 1 year, it cost me $4,266.41. I paid my loan down. Congratulations. But look how much it cost me to get this equity. This is the first thing they don't want you to know.
So real quick, so I'm looking at something. It cost you $29,264 for $4,000 in equity.
Exactly. That's what this equity cost me. So when I'm talking to real estate investors, if they're not looking at this, why are you arguing? Why are you arguing that you don't need this when it just cost you 29 grand to get $4,000 worth of equity? Because we lose track of how much the interest costs us. Listen, I don't miss what I can't measure.
Ooh.
And we're taught not to measure interest cost. And it's right there in front of us.
That's a hit. That's a high bill.
We never
for only
see
4,000.
Never see it, never ask about it, never ask no question.
Okay. So let's put it this way. I start out at 420,000. Okay. I start out at 420,000. I paid my loan down to 415,733.59, which means I gave them this much money. Okay. What does it cost me to move my loan from 420,000 down to 415,000? It cost me $29,264.83 if I pay on their schedule. What if I pay on my own schedule? You know, you can pay on your own schedule. This is just a suggestion. This ain't law. It's just a suggestion. Okay. Do you know how many people I run into that have this much money sitting in the bank making 0.1%, 4,266.41? So do we have to give it to the bank? Let me write this down, 84,000. Okay. Do I have to give this to the bank all in 12 monthly installments? So if I have 420,000, okay, what if I give this all to the bank on line one? All right. So we're going to subtract 4,266.41. There we go. Now there's my 415,733.59. Same thing. So I can give it to them in 12 monthly installments, but if I give it to them all at once, I'm paid down to right here in 1 month. It doesn't cost me $29,000 to give them that money now. It only costs me $2,450 in interest to pay it down to here instead of 29 grand. That's a huge difference. Why do people argue against this? Because they're not seeing the numbers. This is something you cannot explain to people standing up in front of them. You have to show them the numbers. So Myra, here's what we've got. If I know that 404,266 will save me a year off my mortgage, save me 29 grand in interest I don't have to pay, why wouldn't I take the 420,000? I have the down payment of 20 grand of 84,000. I still have in my pocket, don't I?
Absolutely.
I still have it. If I was so determined to give it to the bank so that I could have a mortgage of 336,000, let me show you another way to get a mortgage of 336,000. Can I?
Let's do it.
All right. Can I, now that I have the $84,000 in the bank, can I just give them the $84,000 with my first payment?
You could.
All right. Well, let's go down cumulative principal. Let's take a look at 84,000. Okay. If my finger doesn't get tired scrolling, 84,000. I'm going, oh, okay. That's 7 years right here. I just take it off 7 years with 37 grand. Okay. $84,000, $84,000, $84,000, $84,000. We're right around in here. Okay. Between 83, 851, 35 and 84, 684. Let's say about 152 payments I've just taken off. I can give them the $84,000 this way and start out on payment 152 on my amortization schedule. How much interest have I just saved?
Wow.
340,000.
And do I still have a $336,000 loan?
Facts.
So you knocked out 12 years of payments.
There you go. Over about 12 and a half years. If I don't do
Basically, half
anything
the
else,
loan.
yeah,
Half the loan.
there you go. If I don't do anything else except pay monthly on time, I've knocked off 12 years with that money and saved $340,000 worth of interest I never have to pay.
That's sick. That's crazy. And most people just gonna go and say, man, I got 84,000 put down.
Yeah. So put the least amount that you can down and then take that rest of that money. And then this is why we can't ever know how an amortization schedule works. We're not supposed to know. The people who work in the bank don't know. Real estate agents aren't taught this when they get their license. Loan officers, to be an MLO, mortgage loan originator, they're not taught how an amortization schedule works so that this information won't get out. This is as simple as it gets. An eighth grader can understand this. If you see the numbers, I give the bank $84,000 all at once. I'm paid down to here on my amortization schedule because this amortization schedule is set up not to make 7%. It says 7%, but it's set up not to make 7%. The interest rate is a liar and has always been a liar. Here's what it's set up to make. Are you ready? And this you get 3 days before you close. They have to give you this now. Total interest paid is called the TIP. Total interest paid as a percentage of principal. What?
139.5% total interest. So here's the deal.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
You wait 30 years to pay off that mortgage. You don't have a 7% interest rate. Matter of fact, let's stop lying about the interest rate because you don't have a 7% interest rate. You have 139.5% interest rate. My Jesus.
So, well, to make it even more clear, what if the interest rate was 3%, like it used to be? Well,
So everybody's happy about it.
yeah, that's still that.
51% interest rate.
Exactly. I'll make it a little bigger for everybody. 51%. 51% is the interest rate when you have a 3% loan. This is how much money they're making. Okay. The money that at 3%, the money that you borrow, they want half of what you borrowed in the form of interest. So if it's a $200,000 mortgage, you're going to pay $103,000 in interest on a $200,000 loan at 3%.
So Don, I got a question.
Yes.
what should the regular people be doing? So let's just say it's tax time. They get a tax refund of $10,000. So they just go ahead and put it straight on their principal, or at a certain time of the year they should do it. Because I see this lady or man, I don't know, MM says they also do an extra 10% on the anniversary of each year towards the principal.
Here's the thing.
I don't understand what that means.
Well, the best, if you put money on debt, if you put money on principal, you're going to save interest. Okay. But here's the question. If I go to the store and I give the grocery store $100, I know I'm going to walk out with $100 worth of groceries. Right?
Right.
When you put that money on your mortgage, here's what we're taught. When I put that money on my mortgage, I don't know how much interest I just saved. And you know what? It never even occurred to us to ask. We give money in banking to purchase. What we're purchasing is interest savings and time savings. But I'm giving it to the bank and not knowing how much it is. So if I know how much it is, I know that I can give a certain amount of money to optimize my interest savings. What I mean is I want to get more interest savings per dollar. When I get my gas, I know how much gas I'm getting per dollar. When I buy meat, I know how much meat I'm getting per dollar. When I buy a house, I can break it down. How much house am I getting per dollar? But when we pay that money to the bank to save money, we have no idea how much interest we just saved. And that's where they're killing us. They're killing us with that. Because if I pay more interest than I need to, but is there any way, once you do the numbers, is there any way I can get you to pay 75% more than you need to rehab a house? O'Neal, can I get you to pay 75% more than you need to rehab a house? Can I talk you into it?
Nah, because the numbers right in my face. Hell.
But see, here's the thing. We pay 75% more in interest than we need to because we don't know anything about the numbers. They're up here. They're in the ether. I don't understand what the whole number means.
We don't ask enough questions to the right people.
Right. So
we don't know the right people to ask those questions too.
We need to understand what's really going on here. We need to track interest cost, and then we want to minimize interest cost. We can cut interest costs by 75 to 80% if we know what we're doing. And here's the other thing. We're taught, I need more money to get out of debt. No, you don't. You need to pay less interest using the money you already have. Once you know the secret, that is the cheat code. Using the money that you already have more efficiently, you can save up to 75 to 80% of the interest that you never have to pay to acquire the same asset. And if you track how much interest you're saving, turn around and then invest that same money and turn it into $1 million.
So, Dad, what kind of, you said they could use the same money that they have. So what about how much money should somebody have per month extra? Is it $1,000? Is it $200? What's the minimum that somebody can take action on today? What's your thoughts?
Okay. I'll show you something real simple. Okay. I'll show you something real simple. Here is, I'm using a website called Bretwhistle, BRETWHISSEL. I'll show you something real simple. $200, $200,000 at 6%. Okay. 200,000 at 6%. Okay. Here's something real simple. If I make this first payment in January, all right, if I make this first payment in January, here's my February principal payment. If I give this to the bank in January as well, I'm paid down to line 2 on my amortization schedule. And this $999 in interest, I don't have to pay, right? That's how that works. It seems simple, but that's how it works. I give the bank the money when I want to give it to them. I don't have to pay the interest that goes along with it. So I just saved nearly $1,000 for giving the bank $200 early. So if I can give them $200 and save $1,000, how much interest would I save if I gave them $100?
Half
Half the interest. I would save about $500. Okay, so would it be worth it if I gave them $100?
Yeah.
Okay, so no, I don't have 100. I have 50.
So let's talk about this real quick, Duncan. I want to go back to this down payment.
Yes.
Okay, because I'm pretty sure she's gonna have to, have that down payment conversation. Is it
Right.
smarter or cheaper? Better yet, better word. Is it cheaper for her to give them that down payment on her own terms, or when the bank deems it at the beginning, when the bank deems it necessary to give it? She's going to get to that 336 anyway.
You should always give the bank money on your own terms. Go in educated. That's what the pill method does. It educates you about your money so that you are in control. You need to be in control.
So we don't want to give them that down payment. We
No.
want to keep that money.
I never put a large down payment on a house or a car, ever. Ever. It makes no sense. Once you understand how to read an amortization schedule, learn how to read it. We teach you how to read it. Plus, we have an AI-powered opportunity cost calculator, cloud-based, that does all the numbers for you so you can know exactly what to do and when. We use computers to figure all of this out. What you're hearing me talk about on my show or this show are just the basics. There is so much more we don't understand about this thing, and we use computers and AI for everything except to manage our own money. Once we start doing that, we can get the most out of every dollar we earn.
So for you wouldn't put down the full 84,000 in one payment.
Nope.
You would give them little micro bits of it.
Yep.
Over time to maximize the actual cost of the interest. A lot of people think, oh, okay, I'll just wait on my first payment and give them 84,000. That ain't the way.
No, that ain't the way. I'm just saying, if you were hell bent and you don't know anything about optimizing your savings, yeah, you'll give them the whole thing, but I wouldn't. And here's a reason why. Because you need to know how much interest you're saving per dollar when you give the bank money. And once you know how much interest you're saving per dollar and you maximize that, if I give the bank $1 and I can save $6 in interest, and if I give them a certain amount of money to do that, what if I gave them more and it turned out that I was actually saving $4.50 per dollar? You see,
that's why the timing is everything.
That the timing and the amount is everything, because you want to save the maximum amount of interest per dollar, not the minimum. People say, well, whatever I do to save money or to pay back a loan, whatever I do is as good as any other thing that I can do. That's not true. It's not true at all.
So you show people when is the right time? When is the right time to pay how much money?
Yep. How much money to pay?
That's crazy.
The month to pay it in, the exact amount to the penny, and the day of the month to pay it on, and which loan to attack.
Because at the end,
Wait a minute. That's nasty work.
Yo. So okay. So wait a minute. So we looking at it. Oh, matter of fact, we got Big Cutting back in the building. I definitely. What's your take on this? Do you have any questions you want to add to the conversation on this?
Well, I just feel like the only way to beat actual lenders and with this high interest rate is just using cash. That's the way you win and you get a better deal coming out the issue. Because I feel like you remember the 18-wheeler that I used to have, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we could have got it financed or whatever, but we paid cash for it and we beat the people out of $15,000. They wanted 30, we got it for 15 just by using cash.
Yep.
Yes, true.
And people think, listen, it's easy to think that way. We think that way a lot. Okay. But Let me give you an example of why I don't use cash, because
Yeah.
we look at it one way, but we don't look at it two ways. Okay. If I use my cash to buy something, to do an opportunity cost calculation, I need to know how much it cost me to manage my money. And I also need to know how much my money will make for me if I invest it. Then
Right.
I can do the comparison. Okay.
Because see, this was a field that my father, he was in, like it was on my birth certificate. So I felt like that he knew exactly what he was investing his money and his time in. And so with that being said, like my grandfather,
Mhm.
I'm gonna say he's like a bank.
Yep.
He does loan sharking. So off $1,000, he may want 1,250 back off $1,000.
Yep.
So if you got the cash, why borrow? You use credit as a lifeline, not to support your first line. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying?
So here's what I'm saying. I'm talking about your grandfather. He made how much?
he makes $250,000. I mean $250 off $1,000.
So if he made $250 off $1,000, then your grandfather didn't use he didn't use that money to go buy stuff with.
Right.
Because if he had used it to go buy stuff with, he couldn't make $250 on it.
Facts.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Your money is more valuable in your pocket
Invested
than it is.
instead of buying and using cash to
Buying
buy
things.
something. So here's
know,
what. Go ahead,
Let's talk
Brian.
about it. Here's the thing. So I was having a conversation yesterday, right? And I was looking at all of the developments that we're currently doing, right? And I was kind of breaking down the fact that, listen, I want to spend the least amount out of pocket, period, to buy property. Always little to no money out of pocket, because what that does is it sets you up to leverage and make more money from your investments. If you put out all of your money, then that's less money to be able to create opportunity on, right? So I'm gonna let Dunn kind of break it down, because he got the charts up. So I want to see what you breaking down on.
So here's what I did for this investor. Okay, $2 million worth of loans. All right, $2 million worth of loans, and it says, okay, he was satisfied with what he was doing before he met me. All right, $2 million worth of loans. He's making over $57,000 on his commercial buildings a month. This is a cash flow, $57,000 a month. Here's what his loans cost him: $14,000 a month. Okay, $14,696. He was all right with the cash flow, and that's what he was looking at. But when I showed him, instead of paying $1,123,000 in interest on these loans, let me show you how to pay only $231,000 in interest on the loans. And when we do the math, let me blow it up. When we do the math, in essence, you're borrowing money at 0.67%. If this is the interest rate he would have to have gotten from the bank to pay $231,468 in interest, instead of the $1,123,000 he was satisfied in paying the bank, because he was cash flowing so well. But he's still cash flowing. This is still his payment, but now he's going to save $891,000 in interest on top of it. He ain't got to pay. Are you hearing me?
Well,
Which means he could borrow money at 0.67%. This is how banks think.
maybe that's how my grandfather was thinking, like a lender. You know what I mean? Because he always said to me, he was like, if you can't buy it twice, you can't afford it. So he dread credit. He never had a line of credit. Everything he ever bought was cashed out. You know what I mean? I never understood his philosophy or his theory about using credit.
This is it. Can I say something here right now? If we were in the barber shop, we would go around and around on this if we were talking about it, sir. But once you see the numbers, all the conversation stops.
Let's talk about it.
That's it. Once you see the numbers, I can borrow money at 0.67%. What am I doing using cash for anything? Let me borrow the money. Let me be like a bank who borrows money from us, makes big money with it, and pays us pennies on the dollar for the use of the money. Why aren't we thinking like a bank? Why aren't we thinking like your grandfather?
It's leverage.
Leverage.
It's leverage. Here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? So, my money can own my put like this. I got about a little bit over $11 million in development right now, done.
Yeah.
And my money can't afford to purchase that much leverage to be able to create that kind of money in development. I would run out, but I'm still going, it's not going to change my profit position on that same money, even though I ain't put up that amount of money to get it. The traditional wisdom is I'm going to go ahead and go purchase all of this land cash, right? Build on it and then get my returns later. Yeah. No, I'm going to leverage it, right? And I'm going to still get the same amount of profits, maybe a little different. Is that kind of what you breaking down here, Don?
Well, not only that, Byron, but see, here's what else. Here's what I do know about, spending some time in your world. I spend a little bit of time in your world. I can't do what you do, but I have spent some time in. You're required to keep a certain amount of cash back to make sure that you have that. It's just sitting in the bank somewhere. To be able to have that development, you're required to have a certain amount of cash just in case something happens or goes wrong. It's true or not true?
That's facts.
That's facts. That money is sitting where?
In the bank.
Making 1/10 of 1%?
Making one. I don't even know.
Okay. You don't even know. Okay. Because I'm making money over here, but I'm not looking at the money that I'm required to keep in the bank. Okay. So once I reach that certain amount, I can leverage that money. Okay. And prepay on one of these loans. Here's something that I show just on one of these loans here. Okay. This isn't your loan. Okay. But if I took out $346 out of that cash that you have sitting in the bank over here, all right, leveraged it, apply it to one of those loans you have, and save $2,447 in interest with it, is this a good use of $346, or should I just leave it in the bank? Sit there just to wait for something to go wrong.
Oh man, I would rather save that, because we can look at it like we're saving, but in essence, we're really paying ourselves by giving the $346 and saving the $2,400. You're really paying yourself that.
Right. And you know why it's harder to do this than what you're doing? Because money we spend now, we pay more attention to than money we spend later. Do you know how many people I talk to that in the first year they would do this? They already paid $29,000 to get this. All right. And then I say, how easy was it to give the bank this money? So it was real easy because it was just in the, it was in the payment. I said, did you have a plan not to give them $29,000? They said, no. All right. I said, now it's going to cost you X amount of dollars to cut this by 75%. So what if you could have gotten the same equity for $5,000 worth of interest instead of $29,000?
My Jesus.
So do you know that person would not pay, watch this, they would not pay $5,000 up front so that they could pay $5,000 in interest. So there's a total of $10,000. That means they would have $19,000 they didn't have to pay in the future. The $5,000 means more to them now than the $29,000 they're paying in the future.
Why is that?
Most people care about today. That's why.
They care about today.
Most people don't care about the future.
And banks know that.
And they make their money based on our inability to see the big picture.
Exactly.
Well, that's why banks and lenders feed us how much can you afford monthly.
Exactly.
It's all about payment. Most people only care about payment.
Right.
That's it. That's when you buy cars, everything. What you comfortable paying monthly?
Exactly.
500. Okay, we're gonna stretch this loan out a little bit longer.
Because there's no two ways about it. 9 out of 10 people that you know will never pay off a mortgage. 9 out of 10 people that you know. I'm not talking about national averages here. I'm talking about 9 out of 10 people you know.
So 90% of people.
How many people do you know that ever had a mortgage that have told you they paid it off? It'll be less than 10% of the people you know.
Mm.
That's a
We're
fact.
in
I don't
we're
know-
in a
I don't know what
system.
person my age.
We are in a system where 90% of us are set up to fail.
Only though, too.
Okay. So not only do I know, here's what I know. A person with this loan will pay all of this interest and more. Okay.
And be cool with it because they don't know no better.
Exactly. They're going to pay all of this and more because it's in the future.
Well,
And so the total repaid is going to be $1,000,000.
Yep. $5,000. Yep. So
So
they will pay $1 million for a $420,000 home if I can pay it over time.
and then turn around and sell it for 500 and
Think
think
they what?
that they won because
But they really lost.
think that they won
Yeah.
because
$400,000 loss.
because it went up in value. But the truth is, you've been renting that money the whole time, and you rented that money at $1 million. So really, you selling it at a couple $100,000 loss. My
Exactly.
Jesus.
If you're not figuring the interest, real estate investors, if you're not figuring how much interest it costs you to cash out refi to get that money out so that you can reinvest it, you need to figure out how much interest it costs you to get there, because that's when you really are figuring profits. When we are figuring profits, we're not looking at how much interest we pay. If this was my house and it was an investment property, after 7 years, it cost me $197,000 to get $37,000 in equity, and now I'm going to add to it what I got from the appreciation of the property, but I'm not looking at the $197,000 I paid to get here.
Don, I'm real big on a concept called paying yourself first.
There you go.
Always pay yourself first. I think MM put it in the chat. It says your income is your biggest wealth building tool. I'm gonna say this again because this is important. I'm gonna put it on the screen. Shout out to MM for this particular comment. It said that your income is your biggest wealth building tool. If you have no debt, right, you get to invest all of it. Now, this is key. Now, the only caveat I would add to this is that your ability to raise money and get debt, if you understand that first sentence that he said, right? I don't know if it's a man or a woman, but if you understand the first sentence, right, and you understand the power of leverage, these two can go together in a happy marriage, and you will accelerate your ability to create income even more. Because here's the deal. A lot of us want to believe that we don't need debt. Now, if you just want a simple life, right? If you just want your life to just be real simple, you don't want to have to think, yes, this particular statement is perfectly fine. But if you want to accelerate your income producing potential, you need both.
You need to borrow somebody money.
You need to borrow some money, right? And you need to borrow it at a cheaper cost.
Yep.
Right? Cheaper cost, and then turn around and figure out a way to allow that money that you borrowed to make you 10 times that amount of money, right? So now you've used your wealth, your income as your wealth building tool, but you also created more income to build as a wealth building tool.
Here's what I'm looking at, Byron, and here's another saying for you. Any money that I didn't earn that I could have earned should be considered a loss. Any money that I could have earned that I didn't earn should be considered a loss. Somebody in the chat said, and I haven't done the numbers, but they look right. $500 a month invested from age 30 to 65 would bring you about $5 million. So if I didn't invest that, did I lose $5 million?
Yeah.
Any money that I could have made that I didn't make should be considered a loss. So when it comes to all of this, I'm looking at and taking the other thing. If I put all of my money into an investment, I can invest all of it. But guess what? If that means I got to pay cash for everything else, I'm actually limiting myself on the amount of money that I could invest, because I can't use the money both ways. I can't buy my lifestyle and invest the money. I can't have my cake and eat it too. So if I'm going to get a car, that means I'm going to pay cash for the car because I'm not going to get in debt. I've just reduced how much stash I have by $30,000 or $40,000 that I can't now invest. If I pay rent or buy a house, I've just reduced my stash that I cannot invest because I have to buy shelter. If we don't learn to think like a bank, banks are in the business of getting us not to think like them.
Facts. My Jesus. Darby, what's going on, man? We got Darby in the building. What you think about this conversation so far, Darby?
Brother. Hey, Don, are you hiring, man?
Yes, we are.
I promise you, I can sell salt to a slug, man. I can sell this product easy. Which is crazy is I love explaining things on an elementary level.
Your mic is a little, I don't know, something going on with it.
Hold on.
You might have to get out the Bluetooth.
Yeah.
It's
You on
switching.
mute now.
It's switching over.
You got to unmute it.
All right, is it better now?
Way
Yes,
better.
Yeah.
way better.
All right. This damn Beats headphones, man. They trash.
Yeah, you throw them out the window.
Nah. I use when I'm cutting grass, but I be having them on when the conversation gets spicy. I can't have my daughter be listening to it, so I have to put them on. But listen,
You do get
man,
a little spicy.
yeah, it do get spicy. But I can sell this product, man, and which is crazy. Like I said, I can explain things on an elementary level. Once I got the concept of it, I can explain it to anybody and sell it to anybody. The thing is, though, is this is great for people who know what to do with their money, that know how to leverage. You know what I mean? On a higher level. But the thing is, though, to the common people, they don't know what to do with that extra money that they have. So that's why they'll go with the concept of, oh, I just pay everything cash. You know what I mean? And they don't know that if they borrow and learn how to pay that debt down, the cash that they didn't spend, they can invest that into something else. I forget what the status saying or the famous quote is, like, if you don't have a plan, you plan to fail or something like that.
Mhm.
So the thing is, what people don't do is like, okay, if I'm borrowing, if I got $300,000 to put into to a property or whatever, they don't know that if I borrow $300,000 at whatever interest rate where I can have a low cost at, where I plan to pay it down real quick, well, what else I'm gonna do with this cash? So that's the thing that we have to explain to the common folk is like, hey, always have a plan to invest your money, because if you don't, it's gonna lie dormant. You're gonna get 1/10 of 1% in the bank.
Well, it's called borrowing money for assets and investments only. That's the concept. You have to invest. When you borrow money, that money really needs to be on something that will produce more money than the cost of what you're borrowing. And when you understand that concept, right, and then when you compound it with learning how to even borrow that money even cheaper, now you just accelerated the possibilities.
Right.
Don, you want to kind of break down that, because I
What
know
are we
you-
breaking down, Brian? I can break down whatever you want.
So is the understanding how to not borrow money for investments, right? Borrow money for investments, and then on top of borrowing money for investments, learn how to pay those investments off cheaper at a lower cost. Remember, we put cost in the chat, at a cheaper cost, so we can accelerate our growth potential.
All right. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at, I'm going to put up another example here. Here's a real estate investor that I showed something to. All right. So his payment on his loan was $8,704. So let's go. His payment, all right, is $8,704. All right. Interest rate 5%. Okay. Oh, I had 55. 5%, and it was 300 months. So it's a commercial loan. Okay. All right. Then we take this payment out. Oh, no. We take out. So we take that out. All right. So when we calculate that, here's what I showed him. All right. His mortgage was $1,488,000. All right. And here is his amortization schedule. All right. 1 year on this thing, 30 grand. Okay. $70,000. So this is $100,000. He's making bank on this property, making bank on it, looking at the front end. So how do we borrow money cheaper? How do we borrow money cheaper? You pay when you determine you need to pay, and not when the bank wants you to pay. You make it impossible for them to charge you interest. He was okay with the amount of interest he was paying before because he was cash flowing so much on the front end. So he has $100,000 in the bank, Byron, $100,000 in the bank. And every month out of his receipts, he puts $6,000 into a reserve fund. All right. So I said, well, what if you did something as simple as this? Borrow about $30,000 from your reserve account, apply it to this mortgage. Would you not be paid down to here in 1 month? Would you knock off 12 payments you didn't need to pay? Would you save over $70,000 in interest? And would your next payment be on line 13 next month of this schedule? He said, yes, it would. Now, you borrowed $30,000 from yourself. How long would it take you to put that $30,000 back, okay, into your reserve fund? How long would it take you to pay it back at $6,000 a month? He said 5 months. So that means for the next 5 months, you just have to make regular payments. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now your money is back in the reserve account. Could you take 30 grand out again and do it again and knock off another year and another $70,000 in interest and keep doing that? So this is the simple concept. But when you have a program that does all of the math for you, it'll tell you exactly how much to pay, when to pay, and which month to pay it in to actually save the most interest per dollar. Man, we're talking about optimizing all of your income. See, when you do the numbers, Byron, when you do the numbers, O'Neill, when anybody who's a real estate investor does the numbers, they're looking at ARV, they're looking at cap rate, they're looking at all these numbers so that they can maximize their profits. We do it every place except where we need to do it the most. The money we get from the bank.
I don't know now one investor that do this.
That one. And that's why, listen, when I first started this, when you first heard about this and people will come to you when I'm not in the room and say, why is Don talking about that kind of stuff? Because I can make 20% cash on cash return. I could do this. I could do that. Why is he talking about paying off cheap loans? Because they were never cheap to begin with. We weren't taught how the bank makes its money. We're taught to give them all the money that they're asking for. And we're okay with that as long as we're making some money. We're okay with it.
Man.
Here's what our program looks like. Okay. So if we can, this program tells you exactly when to pay and how to pay. All right. So once we understand that, then it tells you, okay, if I put in my GPS, all right, you guys use GPS when you're going someplace in your car?
Yep.
All All right. Do you ever pull out a paper map to check your GPS? Okay,
Hell
you're
no.
muted, Byron. You're muted, Byron.
Nah.
No, never. All right. So we'll use GPS to get somewhere, but we will not use technology to save money. If we use technology, it will tell us exactly how much to pay and when to pay. Just this tells you how much to save. It tells you how much to pay off the MasterCard. It tells you how much to save to the penny. It tells you. So if we use technology, we can get to our goal a lot faster and a lot cheaper. If I know I'm going to save $150,000, if I know that going into it, why would I not just follow a plan just like GPS to tell me when to turn with my money? And I'll turn there. And now, not only that, but I can look at the reports, go to net worth, and in 2054, when I'm supposed to be out of debt, 2054, when I'm supposed to be out of debt, let's scroll down to 2054. I can have another $500,000, $577,000 liquid assets that I could invest with money I didn't spend on interest. And this is at 1% return on my money, not 6 or 7. It's at 1%. Wow. We do all of the math. We do everything for you in this concept. There's no reason to give the bank 75% more interest than they need. None. There's not one argument anybody can make to spend 75% more on a property than you need to pay, to spend 75% more on rehabbing the property than you need to pay, to charge 75% less interest than you can actually get at market rates. There's no place anybody can argue against this thing. Why are we paying 75% more interest than we need to? Because we've been taught to.
Can we get the name of that mortgage calculator? Somebody just put it
Brett
in.
Whistle.
The mortgage calculator is Brett Whistle. We can put that in. We can put that in the chat. Brett Whistle. Let's bring that back up. Brett Whistle, and you can play around with this thing. There's so much you can learn from this thing. It is not even funny. BrettWhistle.net. Let me copy this. We're going to put it in the chat for you guys, so you can have that.
While we do that, I want everybody to take a look at what you were able to help E.T. Williams get accomplished with his particular mortgage.
Eric Thomas.
Eric Thomas.
E.T. Williams, who's that?
I'm tripping. My bad. I done went somewhere different. Yeah.
Eric Thomas. Man.
Yeah. Let's talk about it. Let's get Eric Thomas on the screen.
Listen to me, y'all. But one of his mentees took us through one of their programs, and I paid off my mortgage. But guess what happened? My marriage went to a whole nother level. And you know why? Because my wife is a security freak. And even when I blew up, my wife would be like, "Oh, you blew up, but how long is you gonna keep making this kind of money?" I was like, "I don't know, forever." She's like, "You sure?" Because I'm gonna keep my license as a nurse just in case you don't. So when I paid the house off, my boy was like, "You ain't gotta do that, you can do this." But when I paid the house off using that program, it took the stress level all the way down for my wife because we no longer had a mortgage. Does that make sense? That thing that was coming every month, that was getting on her nerves, we didn't have that no more. And so she was at rest.
I don't know what I got E.T. Williams.
Listen,
I don't know where you got that shit.
Somebody just asked this. Will the bank allow it? Let me tell you what's in your mortgage papers right now. This statement right here.
We can't see it. We got to pull it up.
Okay. The right a consumer has. So if that's a right, do you have to ask for permission?
Not at all.
It's in your contract. The right a consumer has to pay part or all of the debt before its maturity or ahead of schedule, usually without the risk of incurring any penalties. It is your right to do this. It's written into your contract. All right. Okay. Let me tell you how strong this right is that's written into your contract. Okay. Miss 3 payments and see what happens, because that's written into your contract too. Miss 3 payments, see what happens. They're coming to get it. If it's that strong on their side, this is just as strong as you're on your side. You have a right to do this. You don't have to ask for permission.
I love it.
Let's start using what we've been given and take back our own. Let's take back our lives. Let's make our lives easier and less costly, and take that money. Do you know, people tell me all the time that since we've had your program, we don't argue about money anymore. We don't argue about money.
You keeping marriages together.
Listen, it's all plugged in. A saver and a spender gets to figure out what they want to do with their money. All right. In this program, the saver says, I want to get out of debt in 7 years. The spender says, I don't want to live like a pauper while we're trying to get out of debt. So we plug into the program how much the spender wants to spend per month, and the spender is happy. Then the saver says, oh, if the spender is spending this much, I can still get out of debt in 7.5 years. I don't care what they spend. It's right there. We can see ahead of time what the outcomes are going to be. And this is what we need to have in our lives, is to have some way to do the math so that we can get out of debt more efficiently.
I love it. So I want to talk about some takeaways real quick, because I want to make sure that everybody kind of understand the gravity of what we kind of just witnessed. So number one, down payments, right? We need to rethink the way that we look at down payments on property specifically, and on vehicles, right? Not saying that down payments are all bad. Yeah, if you want to put down a big down payment, that's your right to do. Mm-hmm. But we want to make sure that you're looking at the cost of you putting that down payment. If you don't have anything other to invest in, run the play. But if you are looking at this from a very financially literate standpoint, getting rid of all of your money may not be the wisest decision. Mm-mm. Right? Yeah. We also want to look at the fact that interest rates don't matter in the way that we have been taught to understand them. Right? And then we also want to look at the fact that, listen, leverage is the key. Leverage is the key. And it's all about the cost of the money, right? Opposed to just what we're spending monthly, right? So we want to look at that. So I just want to highlight that. Anything you want to add to that, Don?
Yeah, I'll put that back on the screen. You're talking about down payments and everything. Here's one that's simple. This is a mistake we make all the time. I just totaled my car and they gave me a check. Okay. They gave me a check for $16,000. So I'm going to go get my new car. What do we do with that check?
Put that as a down payment.
As a down payment. Don't do that. Here, I got a $50,000 car at 5%, 84 months. Always get the longest term available, never the shortest term. Always get the longest term available. And on my new car, okay, well, I'm paying this much money. I'm going to put my $16,000 as a prepayment on the car and knock off 31 months. Why wouldn't I do that? Why would I put it down as a down payment?
So what you just did is knock down majority of the interest.
Yeah.
Interest payment is at $100-something.
Right. So the total interest cost on this loan, all right, is $9,362. If I take my money that I got for my check, my $16,000 for my check, and put it on here, I just eliminated $5,400 of that interest using that check that the bank gave me, that I generally put as a down payment, and feel pretty good that I put a down payment on this car.
But let me break that down real quick in more layman's terms, though, because when people are going to buy these cars, the dealerships are asking, how much can you afford, right? A month. So if I'm a consumer and I'm going out to buy a car, I know that generally I can afford $600 a month. But and I'm just throwing out numbers, but when I stretch out the payment to the longest term, it's only, let's say, $450 a month. But what you're saying is that though I can afford the 650 or 600, I'm paying the 600 anyway on a $400 a month payment, just so I can make sure I'm killing that interest. Am I right?
There you go, my brother. There you go. All right. That's what we're talking about.
All right.
It's this, you want to get the payment. You want, so people are afraid of 84 months. Well, you don't have to have it for 84 months. We show how to pay it off in 2.
Right.
But if you get it for 84, you have more options because you need
Not stressed to pay that big payment.
exactly. You want to keep that payment down. For me to be able to put any money on interest of in principal, I have to meet a $706 threshold. I got to make that payment first. But if I get the same loan for 60 months, okay? Same loan for 60 months, duplicate the tab. Okay, same loan, 60 months. Okay, now my payment is not 706. Now my payment is 943. So now I have to meet $943 before I can put money on principal. Banks know that. Nobody else knows that. I just made it harder to pay the loan off faster and cheaper when I lower the term, when I lower the interest rate, when I do anything that the bank will allow me to do, I make it harder for me to pay the loan off faster and cheaper.
I think we just got to get to a point to where we get people to grasp the concept of affordability versus strategy.
Yes.
So, like in the example I said, like, you know, if you're going to get a mortgage, oh, you know, you only want $1,000 mortgage. Tell them that, hey, you know, go to for the lower, but although you can pay more monthly, so you can kill that interest.
Yep.
And that's the what we have to put in the frontal lobe of the brain, where they're going in getting these loans, so they can strategically pay these loans off quicker at a cheaper cost.
Exactly. So if you're going to a builder that's building this house for you, and everybody's afraid of 7% interest rate, says, listen, the builder's going to buy that down for you to 5%. I'm saying, yeah, give me that $12,000, builder, so I can use it as towards my closing costs. That $12,000 I now have that I didn't have to put on closing costs, instead of getting a 5% interest rate. All right, let me put that $12,000 on my mortgage and knock off 32 months and save $77,000 with it. There's so many things that they do on the bank side of this thing that hurts us. Besides that, if you do the math, why would a bank ever sell you points for $12,000 to $17,000 so that they can lose over $200,000 in interest long term? Take a look at the difference between the 5% loan and the 7% loan. Why would they ever sell a 5% interest rate for $12,000 to $17,000 so that they can lose potentially $200,000 in interest? It makes no sense. They know that if they lower the interest rate, they're going to make more money in the long run because it's harder to pay the loan off cheaper.
Wow.
Everything that we've learned is backwards. Everything.
So since that's all we know, we gotta have more conversations about this money, man. Because I think we all stuck in the way it's supposed to be done, or the way we was taught, and really is the wrong way. So we got to have more conversations about this, man.
Facts.
Once we understand what's really going on, man, you know, I want to show you one last thing, and then I'm done. So we have
two down for you when you get a chance.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead now, so because I'm setting this up.
Okay, what does get it in your program look like? So, hey, Mr. Don, I want to sign up. I got a couple things that I have debt. I got family that I want to help out. What's the first step, and what does that look like, me getting into your program?
It looks like this. Go to ice10k.com. Okay. ice10k.com. Scroll down underneath ET's picture. Mr. Williams here. Scroll down under ET's picture and click on get a savings and earnings report. Once you click on that, it says this, get your free savings and earnings report. Once you fill, it's a 2-step process, fill it out. Okay. Then we'll tell you the month, day, and year you're going to be debt free. And the interest, how much interest you're going to save. Now, the reason why we tell you how much interest you're going to save is because your interest savings will pay for the program. All right. I will tell you what I charged one person who said no. Okay. They had over $1 million worth of debt. They had 2 mortgages, and they run a business. They had a bunch of debt. The bank was going to charge them over $1 million worth of interest. I'm saving them $600,000 worth of interest, and they'll be paid off in 9 years. I was going to charge them $12,000 for that, for a lifetime program that can use over, not just on this mortgage, but the next mortgage and the next mortgage and the next mortgage. It's a lifetime program. I'm going to charge them $12,000 to save $600,000. They said no, because they were looking at what? The $12,000 up front, not the $600,000 over time. And that's just on that mortgage. This is a program you have for life with customer service and coaching. You call a number during the day, there's somebody there to answer the phone for you, to answer your questions, not email, not leave a message when we call you back. I pay a whole staff to be there on the phone for you when you call.
So this
5 days a week, 8 hours a day.
So this works for all your loans,
Yep.
all your debt,
Yep.
for lifetime.
Forever. You don't pay another dime.
I think it makes sense. What you think, Doug?
It's the things that we can't see that we fall for.
Yeah.
And it's always we live on tangible things. That's why people don't like insurance, because they paying money over every like for a long time. It is not tangible. They're like, well, why am I paying insurance? Until they get to a car accident, that money's there.
Then you know.
I will give somebody $500 or $40,000. I will give them that so they can give to me, so they can give me back a bunch of money. I will do that. And then the fund goes out of business. I will do that.
That's crazy. We really fall for the things that we can't see, and not strategically planning.
Yep.
Normalize that.
Okay. And here's the last thing I'll say about that. Once we do this report for you, this is guaranteed for life. We will guarantee your results if you use this program. You will get these results or you don't pay. And there's no equivocation. There's nothing else to be said. If you're following the program and it doesn't do like it's supposed to, you get your money back. This is why over 19 years, we have an A+ rating with Better Business Bureau with 0 complaints. 0 complaints. Because either the program works or you don't pay.
You were going to show us something too.
Okay, yeah, here it is. We've got a 360-month mortgage, right? Or I could get the same amount, okay, for not 360 months, but let's say I want to do a 20-year loan, okay? That's what, 240 months? Okay, so it's 240 months. 240 months. What's the first interest payment?
$24.50.
On the 30-year loan, okay, that's the 20-year loan. On the 30-year loan, what's the first interest payment?
$24.50.
It's the same thing. I don't care if it's a 10-year loan, a 5-year loan. I don't care what it is. At the same interest rate, the first interest payment is $24.50. In the first year, at the 7%, you're going to pay about $29,000 in interest. If I get the 20-year loan, okay, I'm still paying about $29,000 in interest. They're almost identical in the first few years. So why would I handcuff myself with a $3,000 payment, $3,256, instead of just sticking with the 2794 at 30 years, so my money can do more for me, get the longest term, never get a shorter term, never buy down the rate unless you need a lower payment to fit into your budget. But most people don't need a lower payment, they just want one. There's a lot that Byron, there's so much more that we could cover. I wish we had the time, but
And if you need a lower payment, you may be getting too big of a house. If you need to buy down points to be able to get in it, you probably need to do some more shopping.
So listen, there is so much we could learn to how to leverage money correctly. We have not learned that. It's not been a part of our educational system. The pill method, people think that we're a technology company. We're an education company. We want to make sure people understand what's going on with their money so they can leverage it correctly and invest the money that they've been giving to the bank willingly and create a legacy for their families. Create your own bank. Stop making other people rich with this information. Do this because nobody beats the pill method on the planet in saving money and interest and paying off debt. Nobody. And if you find somebody that's better than us, I'll still give you your money back.
Oh, listen. Shout out to Don Ice in the building, man. Shout out to Don Ice in the building. Listen, I think so pricing wise, pricing varies, right? Depending on, you want to break that down?
It depends on what we're doing for you. And this guy that saved like $800,000 in interest, all right? He $2 million in loans. Well, shoot, he paid 20 grand for that.
Gotcha.
Okay. But he can use it for the rest of his life for that and save millions of dollars worth of interest with it.
Gotcha.
And we're constantly upgrading and updating our software because our program is not downloadable. It's cloud-based so that we can serve more people quicker because everybody logs into our servers. All of our servers are US based, nothing outside the US. And we're constantly upgrading the program, and we don't charge you for updates like Microsoft does. What we're hoping is that if we serve you well, you will tell other people about us, and we do well when you do well and start telling other people how well we treat you. The customer service is off the chain. We want you to call us when you have a question. Don't call us when you have a problem. Call when you have a question. It prevents problems.
Facts.
Call as many times as you want. We don't care if you call us 10 times a day. We got enough people on the phones to handle it.
I love it.
Love it, man. Make sure you go to ice10k.com, get that free savings and earnings report. Y'all heard what he talking about.
Facts.
So we're gonna have more of these conversations because we gotta normalize this in our community, that we understand the money that we get. Because if you don't understand the money you paying too much for it every time.
It's a fact.
Exactly.
So with that being said, man, like the video, share the content, go to ice10k.com, go to gotaskify.com. You want the best CRM in the game right now. You can use the CRM for any business. They got a lot of things that you can do on it, a lot of automations, which you need in your business. Of course, if you have a business, you got to communicate with your customers as much as possible. Stay in their face, give them promotions or whatever. So go check out gotaskify.com, get you a free demo, check it out. And with that being said, man, we out, man.
Wait a second. I got a freebie I want to give. Put the link in the chat. Okay, bring up our screen. This is a whole history. I've already marked it out for you. Okay. The American mortgage in historical and international context. Here's that, and it's already marked up for you. All right. You'll learn why the United States got into lending money this way. The whole history is right here. And
I need to read that, man.
It's already highlighted.
Before you put the TV on, how about you educate yourself?
Put the link in, and you'll find out that why they did it wasn't to sell more homes, which actually happened, but it was to prop up the banking industry after the Great Depression in 29. It was to prop up banking. That's why they did it this way. The whole history is here. So I got the link up. We can put that in in the chat.
It's in the chat right
Definitely
now.
got to check that out.
You got it. Okay, there you go. Click on it. It's yours already. Listen, all the good parts have been highlighted.
Did the work
Love
for
it.
him already.
Yep. There you go. Thank you.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Don.
it, man. Y'all enjoy your morning, man. Where can you find us? The link is in the chat. The link is in the chat. Make sure y'all check it out. Read it as much as y'all can. Fill your brain up with some knowledge that you could use. Tell some friends about it. Man, we'll see y'all on Thursday, man.
Yes, indeed.
Peace.
What's up, y'all? So most people struggle with sales. A lot of us in real estate, and we struggle with our sales. We struggle with follow-up, we struggle with leads, and we just basically missing out on deals. For me, I just got on Taskify CRM. They send messages out for you. And look, a lot of us have work. When you get off of work, you have hot leads ready for you. Make sure you check out Taskify CRM. I'm telling you, it automatically replies for you. And look, it sends you multiple messages. Like we talking about drip campaigns, so you're not missing out on the lead follow-up. So make sure you check out Taskify CRM. Use coupon code NOSTINGYENERGY to get 10% off. I'm about to show y'all inside my CRM so I can see how it really works. Make sure y'all check it out. Peace.